Welcome back to Starla Play Football with myself, Theo. As always, thank you very much for joining the video. Now, before we get into it, please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and make sure you like this video and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other videos that we do. Now, we're talking Tottenham Hotspur. Ange Postecoglou's men unfortunately just missed out on the Champions League. But I think it was 2 points, if I remember correctly. They just missed out. But if we're being honest, in hindsight, we're going to probably say that's a good thing, because I feel like Ange Postecoglou, Spurs fans, will probably want this opportunity to go out and try and win a trophy. And what better trophy to win than the Europa League with the squad that they've got? Some Tottenham fans might disagree with that, but I feel like this is the tournament, Europa League, that Tottenham can actually go out and win with their squad. We're going to try and break all of that down in this bite-sized video for their preview. Now, like I said, they only won 20 of their 38 matches last season, which isn't too bad for Ange in his first season in the Premier League, and also for Tottenham Hotspur. Losing Harry Kane was obviously going to be a big thing for Spurs. Not bringing in a natural number 9. Obviously, Richarlison was there, Heung-min Son was there as well, but bringing in a natural number 9 to replace Harry Kane was always going to be difficult of someone of that caliber as well, that was scoring goals. Now, if you're a betting man, in terms of the odds, 25-1 is what you will get for Tottenham to win the Premier League this season. So not too bad for Tottenham in terms of the odds they've got there. For Tottenham to finish in the top 4, it is 2-1, and you'll get 13-2 for Tottenham to finish in the top 6. So if you're going to put your money somewhere, I'd probably go for that middle one in terms of the top 4, or an outside bet on the 25-1 if you're feeling lucky. Now, obviously, in terms of signings, Tottenham have brought in some really good key players for me, and I feel like these are the players that brings them a little bit more balance into that midfield. The key one being Archie Gray, obviously 18 years old, £35 million from Leeds. Played really well for Leeds last season. Unfortunate to miss out on the promotion. That was Southampton who beat them at Wembley in the last game of the season in the Championship. But I feel like he's a player that will come in and just integrate him slowly. I think that would be the thing for me. If I was Ange Postecoglou, I'd just integrate him slowly into the team. Obviously, he's been playing in the preseason games, but competitively, I'd put him in those games slowly. Introduce him slowly. We've got to remember his age. He's stepping up a level now to the Premier League, which will be difficult, but I feel like he's a player that will be able to handle that. Just by watching him in the Championship last season, he's able to cope with a lot of the pressure that's already on him as an 18-year-old player in the Championship. So I don't think he'll have any problems coming into the Premier League and replicating that form at all. Lucas Bergvall, another player that's come in, 18 years old, another midfielder, 8.5 million, and Yang Min Hoyak, who's come from Gangwon FC, but I believe he is staying with his current club until the winter window, which I would assume is when the league over there in his country finishes. So players out. Let's talk about some of the players out. Joe Rodon has gone to Leeds. We are finding that a lot with these clubs now. Obviously, player goes one way, another player goes another way. Maybe that helps with the PSR. I'd assume it does. Eric Dyer, that we already knew was going to Bayern Munich on a free transfer. Ndombele, finally, Tottenham fans, give you a round of applause, because I know how much Ndombele has been stressing a lot of Tottenham fans out, but he's gone on a free to Nice. Ivan Perisic has gone to Hajduk Split. Tantanga finally he was on loan last season at Millwall, has now got a transfer to Millwall. He's signed for them on a free. Ryan Sessegnon has been released, which I think is crazy as a 24-year-old defender. I think he was at Fulham beforehand, and to be released at 24 is crazy. But Brian Gill been loaned out for the season, and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg again on loan to Marseille for the season. So looking at some of the key players, I think, for Tottenham, obviously Heung-min Son, 17 goals across all competitions, 85 shots attempted. I feel like, again, I do feel with Heung-min Son, I feel like he's a player that is slowly on the decline. He must be, 30? Is he 31? Let's find out. He's got to be 31. 32. That's close. But you can see the decline in him, when he was playing with Harry Kane, they bounced off each other. The link-up play was amazing. They looked amazing together. But I feel that with Harry Kane going, he has had to step up and be the front runner. Obviously, he took over the captaincy as well of Tottenham. And I feel like he's, not that he hasn't been able to live up to the expectation, but I just feel that, there's been a lot of added pressure to him and his game. But he's also not been able to fulfill potentially the role that he wants to fulfill. I don't see him as an out and out striker either. He likes to come up playing off the left. Richarlison likes to play there at times as well, but can also play as a 9. So I feel like, you need someone who's going to be able to play that role as a striker. And I don't think that's Heung-min Son, but still respectfully to get the goals that he's got, 17, as I said, across all competitions. He's done that now for the last 3 out of his 4 seasons, scoring more than 15 goals. So it does tell you, that he's a player that can still get the goals. Kulusevski, again, another one, who went on a really good run of form alongside Richarlison. But he's still a danger man. Son is still a danger man. He can still turn it on when he needs to. I think obviously with Solanke coming in now, one player that we haven't mentioned as a transfer incoming, but Dominic Solanke coming in to play that role that Harry Kane played might free up Son to do other things like assist again. Still chipping with the goals, but I think having a person to feed that ball through to, as opposed to be the one that's got to create the chances and maybe take the goal on, I think we'll see a lot more from the old Son that was there when Harry Kane was there. And I think Solanke coming in makes perfect sense. I think Tottenham last season struggled for goals in some periods of the season, and I think they had a Solanke who I think scored 15, maybe even more goals, 19 goals last season. I think had they had him, they probably would have gone on to the Champions League and been able to qualify for that. So bringing him in makes sense. I think, they've got the man now. This is why I think it's good to miss out on that Champions League this season for Tottenham, because you don't want to go into this season now with the added pressure of making sure you get out the new format of the Champions League and doing well in that. I think the Europa League is a competition I could see Tottenham winning with this squad. And I think they've got the depth now. You look at the depth in terms of, the attackers that they've got now, Timo Werner, who we haven't even mentioned yet, Kulusevski, Johnson on the right as well. They've got some really, really good depth here. Basuma, Bentancur, Lo Celso, Maddison, Sarr, Pedro Porro, Romero, who I think is probably one of the best centre-backs in the league, Destiny Ondogi, Van der Ven, Vicario, this is a squad that can go out and win that Europa League. It really can. And that's not a disrespect to all the other European teams out there, because they're just as good as Tottenham, but Tottenham have to be thrown in that mix as well. They really do. James Maddison, again, another player, 9 assists in his first season. I thought he was really good last season. The amount of chances he creates and he's a key player, he's a game changer. He's someone that can make things happen. And again, someone that I feel like Dominic Solanke is gonna thrive off. He's gonna have someone that he can get the ball off and he can ping those balls through to Solanke. I think he's gonna thrive off playing with James Maddison. Kulusevski, Brendan Johnson as well. He's going to be getting the service, Solanke. So I think it makes sense for him to come here. Done really well at Bournemouth last season. But I just think with him being there now, amazing signing for Tottenham. This is almost a missing piece to the puzzle. Vicario, I think, is a really good goalkeeper. As I said, I think Romero is a brilliant goalkeeper. Destiny Ondogi, I think, went unnoticed a lot of the times last season, but he was probably one of the best left backs in the country at the time. So I think we have to give him his credit. And obviously, if you're talking about tackles and fouls, which I've been doing on some of these videos, Basuma, loves a good tackle, loves a good foul, loves to get stuck in that midfield. And again, someone who's going to be able to break up that play in that midfield for me is going to be Basuma. Again, 91 tackles, I think, was Pedro Porro. 80 tackles from Basuma, 35 fouls committed, 9 yellow cards. So if you're into your bookies and you like making booking bets, make sure you put Basuma in there, because he's definitely going to get a couple. Quick question before we go, and make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments. What does this spell for Richarlison? Will Richarlison retain his place in the Spurs squad? Does he need to go out on loan? Does he need to get sold? there is a lot of question marks over his future now, whether he's even got one at Spurs. You know, Timo Werner, I think, is ahead of him on the left side as well. Son can play down that left side. You know, you do need some covering in the striker role, but I look at Richarlison. I don't know if he's going to get the game time for Spurs this season. So does he sit around and wait and see what happens, or does he move on? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. In terms of star player and player to watch, I am going to go for player to watch. I'm going to go for Destiny Udogie, because I just said before, I think he's one of those players that goes really under the radar. He puts in some really good performances. He plays higher at the pitch as well, in terms of how Ange Postecoglou sets up his team. And I feel like even if he plays as a left back, he's still up the other end of providing, you know, balls into the box, creating chances, you know, crossing the ball in. And I think he goes unnoticed, and his defensive duties are just as good as well. And I think he goes unnoticed a lot for you know, in the Premier League. So my player to my player to watch would be Destiny Udogie. My star player is going to be Dominic Solanke. It's going to be Dominic Solanke, because I feel like, after all I've just said about him, I feel like he's going to get the service, and I think he'll get the balls in from left, right, you know, over the top, you know, be on the end of free kicks, corners. You know, I feel like the chances that he will be getting will be endless if they can get it right tactically at Spurs. So I think, for me, I'm going to go out there and say that he could easily match his 15-plus goal a season that he got for Bournemouth. You know, he's developed, obviously, since his time at Chelsea, since his time at Liverpool. He's grew into his role. He kind of had to go down a bit of a level at Bournemouth, but he's slowly making his way back up to the top in terms of clubs and stature. And like we said on here before, you know, number 9s are almost a dying breed. So for me, Solanke has to be the one to be the star player for Tottenham. And he's not going to hit Harry Kane numbers every season, but I feel like he can play a massive, important role in how Spurs are going to play and how they're going to set up this season. But let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to leave your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Make sure you do that, please, for the channel to grow. We appreciate that 100%. And we'll be back very, very soon.